And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again, and this time with a channel update video, which I don't think I've ever really done before. I just wanted to provide just a bit of an idea of what's happening with the channel, where I'm going with stuff, what's going to be planned for the next year or so. Before I do, just a bit of background context. I don't anticipate the channel becoming massive. I don't really want tens of thousands of subscribers. I obviously don't have tens of thousands of subscribers, but I don't really care about having clickbait thumbnails, as you can probably tell. And I also don't really care about making sure that I have sort of monetized content and everything like that. None of my videos are monetized. I don't really mind how many views I get or anything like that. What I want to produce is the kind of content that I enjoy producing and that I would find useful as a viewer. I'm conscious this has led to some people saying in my comment section that I have the most boring channel on YouTube. Yes, I do read the comment section. Um, and yeah, I don't really mind that. Like these videos aren't intended for people who are just casually looking for comics knowledge. If you want that, there are channels like Comics Explained and the Comic Story and things like that, and that's fine. That's all good. That's all power to you. I don't want to do things that are done by other channels. What I'm interested in doing is documenting what I'm learning and understanding about comics and sharing that knowledge with other people that have a similar kind of comic collecting mindset to my own, which admittedly probably isn't very many people. I've got few hundred subscribers. I'm hoping maybe at least a dozen of those are actual human beings rather than Russian bots, but who knows? Um, and so, yeah, I'm going to continue making stuff that I'm interested in. But that said, please, if you're interested in sort of influencing what's on the channel, please comment, please tweet me, please let me know what you'd like to see. But if you're not interested in the future of the channel and what's happening in the next year or so, then please just tune out now and come back for the next video when I'll be doing an overview of something, I guess. So what is my channel famous for? I'd say probably four or five things. The first thing it's famous for is reading maps. The second thing it's famous for is custom binds and sort of variations thereof. The third thing is, I wouldn't say it's famous, but I've done a few reviews and I haven't done those in a long time, and I'll chat about that in a second. And then I was thinking of doing a more kind of like general discursive kind of video, just kind of talking about particular points about comics. And then finally, I've done a few videos in the past to try to promote my prose novels, which is something that I always try to hype and promote at the end of every video as well. So let's break it down and see what I'll be doing in each of these five areas over the next year or so. Well, firstly, let's start with reading maps. I've got a few things that I'm working on at the moment. Generally, my reading maps, there's no real kind of structure or long-term plan per se. What I'm doing is I am just reading whatever I want to read, and then if I find that there's something complicated about it, or there's something about it which I think most people don't know, and when I've Googled it, I haven't been able to find out easily, then clearly there's a need there for someone like me to put it out somewhere like the internet to provide that information. So that's what I'll be doing in terms of reading maps going forward. If you've used my channel, you see that I've done a few massive reading maps in the past and a few small ones as well. And I do them for DC, for Marvel, for whatever. So what I've got planned, well, I'm going to be reading through the What If issues. There are 13 volumes of What If. I've read the first two, give or take, which is already about 150 issues, and the remaining ones is like 60 or 70 issues. So I should be able to put together a video just giving an overview of those relatively soon. That's not really a reading map per se because it's pretty straightforward, but hopefully it'll be kind of interesting. One thing that I've also started putting together is a Superman reading order. This was never something that was planned. This was actually something I was looking at as a preliminary read before I got into the next big thing I wanted to read. And I thought, oh, cool, I'll just read some Superman issues and that'll be fine. I grabbed a box of a single issue, a long box, from a friend of mine. And then I found that Superman as a reading order is absolute garbage. Like it's a complete catastrophe if you're trying to read the issues from the 90s. So I've ended up planning and making like a really comprehensive reading order of Superman, which spans like 1,000 or so issues. And it's actually really complicated and there's not a guide on the internet for it. So I'll be doing that next. As part of that, something that span out was the idea of DC annual events. I didn't realize that DC annuals were actually self-contained events, especially in the 90s. No one told me that. It was really hard to track down and find the information. I wasn't really understanding what I was reading and collecting. And so I'll do a video on the reading orders of that too. Moving over to Marvel, someone in my comment section has asked me to do a like a reading map of the Bendis Avengers era, kind of from 2005 up to like 2012 and 13. I'm quite keen on doing that because that'll be parallel to the Thunderbolts read through that I did recently. So that's something that's on the docket to do. Moving back to DC, there's the DC Beyond universe, which I've stacked up and I managed to get all the issues for that, so I'm planning on reading that sometime soon. Moving back to Marvel, there's MC2, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but it's like the Ultimate Marvel universe before the Ultimate Marvel universe, but it's kind of more kid friendly. So I'll hopefully be doing that. I've also collected a lot of issues for Marvel Mangaverse on the kid friendly front, which I'll hopefully be doing as well in the next year. And then there's a few other big universes I've thought about, like Wildstorm and Valiant and Spawn. I honestly don't think I'm going to get a chance to get to those in the next 12 months or so because they're just too big and I've got too much other stuff on. And to be honest, the big thing that I want to do next, and this is why the Superman reading order started to come together, is I want to read DC Rebirth and map it in entirety. That's everything from the DC Rebirth one shot, which happened after issue 52 of Batman in the New 52, all the way up to Infinite Frontier, which was heralded by Future State, the event that happened earlier this year. So everything in that intervening period, like 5 years of comics, I want to read that all in one go and then do a map for DC Rebirth, which I know loads of people have been asking me for as well, ever since I did my 31 video DC New 52 order. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. Hopefully by this time next year, that'll be what will be getting uploaded after I've covered off everything else. That's a reading maps plan. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything there that you think there's no point me bothering with, or if there's anything there that you're really keen for me to do sooner rather than later, or anything I just haven't thought of. Moving on to custom binds. I've got a couple of custom binds in the go right now. I'm actually having a custom dust jacket made for a omnibus that I purchased and was quite damaged, and so I made a replacement dust jacket, but I've designed it myself and so on. And so I'm just going to do a little tutorial series on that and show the dust jacket and so on. That's going to be hopefully the next set of videos I do. As well as that, I'm also working on a new set of custom built Absolute editions. So I recently uploaded some videos about my custom built irredeemable Absolute editions. Those videos weren't massively popular, but the people that do subscribe to me did seem to like them, and that's the important thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue that theme. Now that I've made 3 volumes, or rather, I have 3 volumes of Absolute Irredeemable, I'm going to be making Absolute Incorruptible as 2 Absolute Edition versions, and that's the parallel series to Irredeemable. So it's going to be awesome to have that as a full set. And I'll do an overview of that when it's done, but that is going to be quite some time away because these things take ages to do. So if you're hanging on and just subscribing to the channel because you want to see more customs, there are going to be some, but they're going to be few and far between just because it takes a long time to design and make these things. In terms of reviews, I've only ever done a couple of reviews on the channel, and those were videos I entitled Popular Comics is Okay Not to Like, where I reviewed Watchmen and then subsequently Mouse. And that was just specifically to say that, these are popular comics, but please don't feel the pressure to own them in your collection or say that you like them if you don't, and so on and so forth. Got a fair bit of hate for those videos, so I don't know if I'm going to carry on doing that particular series. I might do, but there are quite a lot of people out there who are very hostile to the idea that you might have an opinion that's different to that of mainstream comic book critics, which is, I guess, kind of indicative of how some people are, I suppose. Well, another thing I'm thinking of doing is maybe sort of the opposite series. So rather than popular comics, it's okay not to like, but also maybe a series of unpopular comics, it's okay to like. And I might talk about much maligned comics that actually aren't as bad as the hype is. Again, this kind of review thing is something I'm tempted to do simply because I don't like the echo chamber that builds up in the comics community. I'm not really big in the comics community. I'm not on Facebook. I don't do anything like that. But from my point of view, I see a lot that people kind of fall into a herd mentality. Everyone just goes, "Oh, Watchmen is amazing because it's amazing. Sandman is amazing because it's amazing." And anyone who dares to dissent from these prevailing views is generally vilified or subject to a fair bit of abuse. I got a fair bit of abuse for saying that I wasn't a fan of Watchmen and I don't own it in my collection. To me, there's some comics that I just hated because they're hated, as opposed to because they're actually that bad. And there's a certain kind of trendiness that falls into these things that I dislike. So if I am to do reviews, and I don't know if I will, that's the sort of thing I'll do. I'm conscious that my opinion didn't really mean very much. I'm just a guy, like with my opinion on comics. I'm not, any kind of big voice in the YouTube community. It's just my opinion. But like I say, I am sort of keen to push against that tide of echo chamber prevailing opinion. So maybe I'll do some reviews of that. Let me know what you think. Um, the fourth thing I was thinking of doing was maybe just doing kind of like random videos, just talking about comics and understanding comics better. I don't mean in the sense that the channel Comic Explained does, where he sort of talks about things in this really sort of ad nauseum, spoiler-filled kind of way. I was thinking more kind of conceptual things, like talking about the reason why following continuity or being hung up on chronology in comics actually is a fallacy and it doesn't work. And not only that, is damaging to the comic reading experience, in my opinion. I also thought maybe I could do a video explaining what legacy numbering is and what the trend is to have legacy numbering in comics and so on. Or maybe to explain the different types of volumes that you can get in comics. So I refer to this in my reading orders as volumes with a big V or volumes with a small b. But maybe it'd be useful to have a video specifically talking about that. Let me know, and let me know what else you'd like to hear in that sort of section. And finally, I'm going to use the channel to provide updates on my novels. I tend to plug these at the end of every single video. I've written some prose novels about superheroes, kind of a self-contained superhero world. It's called No Gods or Kings as a season, and I've done the first 4 episodes of it, which are the first 4 novels. There's been a big hiatus, well over 2 years between the fourth and the fifth one, which is a real shame. It's caused by a lot of things. A lot of it is related to coronavirus, a lot of it isn't. I've lost people close to me. I've lost my job. I've lost a lot of my sort of personal relationships and personal stability. And it's taken a long time over the last 2 years to kind of recover my mental health and put things back together more than anything else. That said, I am working hard on the fifth episode, and I will be putting that into Amazon and publishing it and self-publishing and promoting it on the website and promoting it on the channel, hopefully over the next few months. So when I do that, that'll be on the channel as well. So that's kind of the future, guys. That's kind of the plan for the next 12 months. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything you're particularly interested in or particularly not interested in. Yeah, if you are one of my very few human subscribers, thank you very much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Until next time, everyone, stay classy.